This class has provided me with a good amount of insight. This is my final presentation for the DeafBlind interpreting class. The book has given us a great amount of information. Author Teresa Smith introduces us as readers to the idea that, quote, deaf-blind people experience the world differently than I do. Their experience, she says, offers a unique perspective. This new perspective, like all other cultures, broadens my own understanding. It stretches me like good art. It pleasures me. On our first day of class, I remember CM saying that by the time we would be done with this class, we would all know PTASL. I remember really wondering how that could possibly happen in the amount of time that we have. I don't feel skilled at protactile ASL now, but I do feel that it is a skill that I now have and can develop more over time. I loved all the simulations, but the one that stands out the most was the very first one. We led each other around the ED building, and I remember, as a deafblind person, that everything felt so different. I also remember putting complete trust in my partner, and that was the way to go about it, and for both of us to get the practice we need. I got to learn what an SSP does and what makes a good one. Author Smith states in her book that, quote, a good SSP will have clear values and clear boundaries. As a pre-professional, the discussion of boundaries has come up a lot. Throughout our readings, Smith has encouraged the readers, aka us, to advocate for ourselves and be realistic about our needs and communicate them. This got me asking myself if my boundaries were clear, and if not, how I could improve upon them. Smith also was quoted as saying that boundaries are about awareness, clarity, congruence, and consistency, rather than arbitrary limits. If you have more than one relationship, you must be aware of which is operative or primary at the moment. I think it's really common for a lot of people, including myself, to push boundaries more than practice healthy ones. Smith also states, quote, if you are both an interpreter and a friend, you must know which role you are operating in at the moment. Don't switch from one to the other just because you feel like it. Drawing these kind of boundaries is not only in my service or the service of the SSP, but it provides clarity for the deaf-blind person as well. So there are just a lot of benefits to have clearly established expectations and boundaries. During class simulations, I found it was easy to become a little flustered. If I didn't understand what someone was signing, I had to repeat the question or repeat the explanation. In those times, the 4 cardinal rules really helped me focus. They are, pay attention, take your time, be consistent, and when in doubt, communicate. In some class simulations, there would be information that got lost a lot. In the role of the deaf-blind person, I would often hesitate to ask for clarification about something and found that I didn't want to inconvenience anybody or frustrate anybody if I didn't understand. But to be reminded, when in doubt, communicate was really helpful. In those instances where I didn't ask for clarification, I really missed out. I didn't feel fully connected to who I was working with because I didn't understand and was not honest about that. In those times, it's been important for me to practice self-advocacy. This is vital because if I or we can't learn to speak up for ourselves, we might not get what we really need to gain clarity. This concept was really helpful for me because it acknowledges that we can all get defensive about our mistakes and our work, and we don't have to pretend we don't because it's actually really common. Understanding that this happens gives me more clarity the more I learn, and with that I can move forward. This is helpful for me to remember but can be tricky. We've all been in situations when outside pressures can take away our focus from what we're doing or not perform our jobs to the best of our ability. I've succumbed to those pressures, and it's made me wonder that if I were an SSP and been easily influenced, would the deaf-blind person miss out on an opportunity or interaction? I'm sure. It's been important for me to remind myself that the job of the SSP is in service of the deaf-blind person and not any other outside individuals in a given setting. For me, letting go of what others might be thinking has also been a form of self-care. There's strength in community. Teresa Smith says that, quote, a community is a reciprocal system that supports and nurtures us as individuals through our collective relationships with one another. Its members may nurture us literally with food or emotionally with love and friendship, intellectually with information and stimulation. I've been really fortunate to have community in my life, and it started up in Seattle. We had gatherings and shared meals as often as possible, and even though we're not together, the feeling is still the same. I understand that many, including deafblind people, feel the same way, and was over the moon to learn about the thriving deafblind community in Seattle. And I'll end my presentation with the ABCs. Thank you.
created using Powtoon.